Hey witches, if you are enjoying Waking Up the Witch, then you're definitely going to want to check out my magical shop, Moonbee's Wellness in Medford, Oregon. We have a curated collection of crystals, incense, sage, witchy books, tarot, oracle, and so much magic made locally here in the Rogue Valley. Whether you're just beginning your witchy path or you've been on this journey for quite a while, we have so many items to support where you are in your journey. And we ship anywhere in the US, so no need to be local. But Moonbees is more than just a shop. We are also a sacred space and supportive to your healing journey. I'm a Reiki master, and I also offer a lot of intuitive sessions, including past life readings and past life regression sessions. And all of this can be done virtually online, so I can help you no matter where you're at. Come visit us in Southern Oregon or follow Moonbees Wellness on Instagram and Moonbees_Medford on TikTok. And remember, magic's this way.
This episode of Waking Up the Witch is brought to you by Taylor Pickett Styles. I'm Taylor Pickett, and I am an intuitive hairstylist in Southern Oregon. I offer in-person services as well as online tutorials on how to care for your curly hair, how to properly shampoo your hair. If you're a hairstylist, I offer lots of education and one-on-one consulting on how to build your clientele and take care of your clients. If you're interested in any of these services, please reach out to me. There will be a link in the bio. I also offer organic hair care from Innocence Organic Beauty, and you can also buy that online through me, link in the bio, and also on my Instagram page, Taylor Pickett Styles. I also have a TikTok page if you're into just talking a little bit more deeply about things, going into deeper dives about hair care, self-love, and self-worth. My TikTok handle is Southern Oregon Curl. And don't forget, tame nothing, nourish everything. Enjoy this episode. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Amber.
And this is
Waking Up the Witch. We're your neighborhood witches. Each week, we talk about all things witchy and connect with other humans in a storytelling format about navigating life on this floating rock.
We're two curious ladies trying to understand the human experience. But while we do that, we think it's important to honor the people that lived here before us and honor the cultures and traditions that we're being inspired by.
This podcast is about waking up the witch, which means we are learning and growing every day. That being said, we are always open to feedback on how we can do better.
The views and opinions of our guests don't necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Waking Up the Witch. Now, let's go, ghouls. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning, Southern Oregon.
Yeah, hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm excited to be doing this. I feel like it's been
What are we doing?
a while. Today, we're talking about Amber's story.
Cute. I bet there's a lot to go over.
Yeah, lots of highs and lows and magic along the way. So,
yeah, this season so far has been like diving so deep in so many stories. I think it's definitely time.
yeah, I think so too.
Actually, I think it's overdue.
I think it's right on time, honestly, with like just this whole journey and how much we've created and how much we've connected with other people, how much more comfortable you and I have gotten doing this. It feels like perfect timing, honestly.
Do you need to take some deep breaths?
Yeah, let's do that. I think that's a good idea. Will you guide me?
Close your eyes, you bad bitch.
Ooh.
Okay. We're gonna start by taking a big deep breath in and release. We're gonna take another big deep breath in, starting at the bottom part of your lungs and filling it all the way up to the top. And push it all out from your mouth. Empty the tank. And then the biggest one yet, breathe in through your nose. Fill that belly. More. And empty. Let go of any bullshit, of any stress or worry or any other thoughts from the day or life that you have going on right now. We're going to call in your guides, your ancestors, your angels, anyone that wants to be here today to assist you in telling your story the way it's meant to come through today. And only today for everyone that listens into the future. May this recording find you wherever you're meant to hear it and wherever you're at. Let's
Thank
do
you.
this.
You're getting really good at this.
Oh, thanks. I don't care what anybody thinks about me anymore.
Like, really fucking good. Thank you. That
Thank you.
helped. I'm glad we did that.
Good.
Did we do that for you?
I think I did my own, yeah.
Okay. We're just getting you, like, throwing you right into it.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. Hi, my name's Amber.
Hey, Amber. Welcome to Waking Up the Witch.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah.
I am the co-host of Waking Up the Witch. I'm also a business owner. I own a super cute, groovy, witchy, vibey boutique in Southern Oregon called Moonbees Wellness. Chills when I say that. I'm a Reiki master teacher, intuitive guide,
Can I fix
wife.
this hair?
Yes.
She's like feral. I want to be able to see your face.
Okay.
Okay.
She's like getting wily. I'm a wife, about to celebrate 10 years of marriage, which is
Crazy.
so wild. I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend. I'm so many things to so many people,
Mhm.
but I am kind of got a girl crush on myself these days. That
Hell
feels
yeah.
good. Long journey to get there, I think.
Well,
Yeah, that's me.
40 years will do it.
40 years almost, just 2 more months.
That's so crazy.
I know, it doesn't feel like I am
Like what you thought 40 would
Yeah,
be.
no. I'm like, honestly, personally, I love getting older. I have not a problem getting older. I mean, my body hurts more and that part
It
sucks.
doesn't help that you're like aging very nicely.
Thank
I have
you.
friends my age that look older than you, so.
I mean, I don't have children yet. I'm sure
And
that
you
has
don't go
something to
on
do with
cocaine
it.
benders,
And
so
I don't do wild drugs.
I think that helps. Genetics.
I don't put a lot of shit on my face too. I do like a good clean product.
Yeah, you're looking incredible.
Thank you. Thank
I
you
don't
so
think you've
much.
aged a day since I met you.
I'm aging backwards, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I was born on an army base similar to you. In 1985. My parents, I think they were together for at least a year, maybe a little bit longer. My mom was 17, almost like 2 weeks from being 18 when she had me. My dad was 2 years older than her, also 2 years from being 20. Their birthdays are 2 days apart. Scorpio parents over here. And yeah, my mom graduated high school and got married on the same day to my dad and
That's kind of crazy
was
to think
pregnant.
about.
Yeah, was pregnant with me. My dad was in basic training when she found out she was pregnant, so probably right before he shipped off is I'm sure when I was conceived.
But
Yeah.
she was pregnant at her wedding or right after?
She was pregnant at her
Okay.
wedding with me. So that May, they got married on the same day she graduated high school, which is so fucking insane. I don't know
She was already
how.
pregnant in high school.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Her senior year, she was pregnant with me. And then we were stationed in Fort Polk, Louisiana. And that's where I was born, on the army base there.
Both born in the South. So
born in the South.
water sign parents in October.
Yeah, that's so wild.
On army base.
It's
a lot of things in common.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so wild. Yeah, we lived there till I was like maybe 18 months or maybe a little bit older. I wasn't quite 2 though. My dad's mom was at my birth. I know that just from pictures. Yeah, my mom must have gotten pregnant again before we left Louisiana because
With your sister?
Yeah, once. So we are 22 months apart, me and my sister.
Literally can't imagine that.
So, yeah.
Also, perspective, like your mom's not even 21 yet.
Yeah. Yeah,
With
she's very
2
young.
children.
2 children. So she was almost 18, so almost 20 when she had my sister.
Crazy.
2 children. Um,
I have a question. Where
yeah.
did your mom grow up?
My mom mostly grew up in Pueblo, Colorado.
Okay.
So this is like a southern area of
Where your dad still
Colorado.
lives?
Yeah, it's like steel mill town, like very hardworking kind of space. It's also like if you stay there, you're probably not everyone, I guess, but in my experience, a lot of people there like fucked up on drugs or
Like
get
Centralia.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like not really the greatest place. I think they've really, from what I can see on the outside, like have tried really hard to make it a better place to live and have like really brightened up the space. Like I haven't been back in a long time. It always just gives me some like
Yeah.
feelings because of like my family that lives there and stuff. So I always feel like kind of anxious, but like it's just that residual energy. You could just feel it.
I think that when people think of Colorado, they think like, oh, like, the whole state is like Denver, or
Yeah.
people from the
Boulder.
Midwest think like, oh, the whole West Coast is just this like liberal playground. But
Yeah,
it's like
no.
there's pockets in every state that are all the same.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Pueblo is very like lower middle class for
Hmm.
sure. Lots of just like big families, lots of drugs, lots of meth. I'm sure it's only gotten worse.
Right.
I haven't lived there. It's so crazy. 40 years is a long time to live and to like reflect back on. I don't think I've lived there since I was like 12, I think was the
Okay.
last time I lived out there. So yeah, so that's where my mom grew up mostly. Like my great grandpa worked for the steel mill there, and he was like born in the US like right after his parents immigrated from Hungary. Like first generation, my mom's dad might as well have been first generation because like, he grew up not really in what's the word? Fucking Mercury retrograde
I
shadow.
can't think of a
Good
word to
fucking
save my
God.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forgive us. I'm going to try my best to articulate this episode. Yeah, but
Is that what your dad does?
steel mill, he did. Yeah.
That's what my dad does.
Really? Are you
My
kidding?
dad, a purchasing sales manager for a major steel company, or he
Shut
was,
the
but he's
fuck up.
worked at a steel company for 30 something since I was born.
And our moms work in the medical field.
Yeah.
What the fuck? This is so wild. We were so meant to find each
This is
other.
so weird. Okay.
Yeah, he did that for a long time. I mean, he did a lot of different things, but one of his last jobs was there, and he's been pretty much disabled for a long time. So I don't think he's working. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in 10 years. Hey, Dad, we'll get there.
I'll talk to my dad.
So, yeah, anyways, we moved back to Pueblo, Colorado, or somewhere around there. My dad was discharged from the army for drug use. As far as I know, just pot, but I don't really know. And so we went back to Colorado, which is where both my parents are from. And my sister was born in August of 87. And I think like right at that same exact time, I don't even know if there was a lot of crossover, but they separated either quickly after or right before.
She's like August 12th.
Yeah. Today's August 12th.
Oh, nice.
So she
All sisters in August.
yeah, it's also weird.
I'm just gonna keep doing this the whole
I
time.
mean, that's kind of how this podcast started,
Yeah.
right? It was like this, me too, me too. So yeah, I like have very like wild memory of the apartment that we lived in last
Okay.
together, and like I remember my dad being there, and then I remember also him picking me up for like a birthday party with his new girlfriend in the same apartment, or at least apartment building. I don't know, but I have some very young memories. So I don't really know, like they just, two Scorpios together. I'm sure
My worst
like
nightmare.
yeah,
Yeah.
sounds awful to me. I'm pretty positive my dad cheated on my mom with my stepmom, and they like our whole lives were like nope, nope,
Are
nope.
they still married?
Not anymore, but they were up until like 10 years ago. So like pretty much my whole life, like I grew up with her as my second mom. And yeah, I remember like in high school one time, like my like just asking like how they met, and like I love a love story, and she was telling me, and like I'm pretty good with numbers and like doing the math and stuff. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, they like he totally cheated on my mom with her." And, and as as one does, once a cheater, always a cheater, they say. And this is very true for my dad because that's what ended their marriage eventually.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I grew up mostly with my mom, but in two homes. We all lived in Colorado for quite a few years. And so I did see my dad. He ended up moving to Colorado City, which is about 25 minutes south of Pueblo, where his family, his parents live in Rye, Colorado, which is like up in the Greenhorn Mountains, another 20 minutes from Colorado City. And so he lived in a trailer park. And so I would spend like some holidays there and so crazy. I like haven't thought about this in forever. So literally, like, I don't know if this is PC anymore, but grew up kind of white trash. Like when we were
I think you can say that you're white.
I am white and we literally lived in trash.
So I
Um,
think it's
I
fine.
mean, I'm always learning and growing, always trying to do better, as we say. So who knows? Anyways,
I'm giving you permission.
thank you. So yeah, I mostly grew up with my mom though. She was a single mom, and I know like she really had to fight my dad to like spend time with us. Like he kind of was like, okay, on to my new life. Him and my stepmom ended up having 3 kids together. So I have 3 half siblings through their marriage, and so so crazy. That trailer had 2 full-size bedrooms and 1, like, kind of side off room, and my dad that was my dad's room. He always had, like, a quote unquote "man cave" where always had, like,
It was a
it
two-bedroom,
was a
and
two-bedroom,
one was
single wide
just
trailer,
a room for him.
and well, that would be like a half room. So there were
Okay.
2 full-size bedrooms, 1 bathroom, 5 people living regularly under that roof, and then me and my sister would come every now and then. She's my only full-blooded sister or sibling, and so when we were there, it was 5 kids in 1 bedroom, and, like,
Did you have bunk beds?
there was a bunk bed and then, like, a 3rd bed, and so sometimes I'd, like, sleep on the couch, and I'm the oldest, so I think, like, as time went on, there's 2 things, like, 1, they would give me, like, a little bit of freedom because I was the oldest and, like, it's a lot to be around 4 other small children, and the other hand, I'm the oldest, so I'm also helping to, like,
Take
raise
care of
these
them.
kids all the
Mhm.
time. So being at my dad's house was, like, crazy, and most of the time,
How often did you go there?
it's hard to really say, like, because I don't feel like the custody was, like, what it should have been, like, I don't think there was, like, a legit schedule, and they lived, like, 25 minutes away from each other, so, like, finding the time to, like, arrange pickup and, my mom's a single mom raising 2 littles on her own without any support, and, like, we were poor. We didn't have a lot, so I don't think even, like, transportation was something that was, like, easy to get. Like, I remember in kindergarten, like, I had to walk to school. My mom, like, went on this walk with me so that I knew the way, and it's several blocks. Like, in my mind, like, it would be interesting to kind of actually have the address and see how far did I actually go, because I know I walked quite a lot, and I'm 5 and a half, 6 years old, and like, walking this walk by myself, like, the first time I ever did it alone, I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go play on the playground with my friends," and I got disoriented and walked in the wrong direction trying to go home, so I didn't get home on time, so I, like, realize I'm lost, and so I go back, find the school, and reorient myself and start actually going where I'm supposed to go. And all of a sudden, there's this car that pulls up on me, and I hear my name, and I go fucking running. Like, I knew stranger danger immediately because my mom was a single mom, and, like, I had to learn, like, to be very fucking aware, and also the '80s.
Yeah.
And early '90s. So I start running and screaming, and the car starts following me, and then I realize it's my mom calling my name, but it's in a car I don't recognize. Like, she had to knock on the neighbor's door and be like, "My kid isn't home. Can you drive me around to try to find her?" Like, she just started kindergarten. She probably got lost.
My god.
And so, yeah, like, my mom picked me up. So, like, I think too, because of that, like, driving to Colorado City wasn't feasible, like gas money, and that's gonna be an hour drive. Like, does she have the time? What kind of jobs is she working? Finding that support. And then my dad, I think, really had to be reminded that he has 2 other kids, so I don't think he was making the effort as much. And from what I understand, my stepmom was, like, pretty good about, like, trying to make sure we were included. And like she's kind of fucking nutso, and like I've always known she's a little crazy. I feel like she was better when we were younger. I always used to call her like my Barbie mom. Like she was like literally like tall, skinny, long blonde hair, like probably a total babe back in the 90s and 80s. But then somewhere when I got older, she was like all of a sudden super Christian and like cut all her hair off and permed it and looked exactly like her Christian best friend. And I was like, oh, what are we doing here? This is kind of, where's your Barbie hair? So I feel like she really tried to advocate to make sure that my dad was spending time with us, but she also like put us to work while we were there. Like, you know, two older siblings, like, you're going to help me do all the things that need to get done. And, you know, from an adult perspective, like I can kind of see that, you know, that's what you got to do and you need help.
I don't think it's that bad too. Like you are teaching, some life skills.
Yeah.
You want them to be a kid, obviously, but
Yeah.
like it, it
I
could be
feel
beneficial in some ways.
I feel like yes, and I also feel like I know it was needed, and my dad really wasn't doing anything except getting up and going to work and coming home and smoking pot. He wasn't doing a whole lot for the household, so a lot was on my stepmom's shoulders. So I see the need, but like as a kid, it's like I don't even want to go to my dad's house because I just
You know you're gonna
feel
work.
like I'm getting put to work all the time. And I literally am not spending time with my dad.
Well,
Like,
no.
I'm spending time with my siblings, I'm spending some time with my stepmom, we have a babysitter a lot, like, we would spend weeks there during the summer.
Yeah.
We'd go there during holidays and stuff, but, like, me being the oldest, I was, like, always doing the dishes. I have this memory, like, we're in this little single wide trailer, and they, like, first got a dishwasher, and it's, like, literally the one that you go tuck away in the corner and pull out and hook
I
up to
need
the
one of
sink,
those. Yeah.
and we would use that, and then I started getting, like, skin rashes from using the type of soap they were using, and I was like, I'm literally doing dishes all the time. Like my little baby hands should not be reacting like this. So I've like that's when we realized I was like more sensitive to things. And my mom like had to be like, we need to get special products for her and dish gloves and everything. And I was like, can I just not do dishes though? Like that would be great. I would love to
I
go play.
hated fucking dishes as a
Yeah,
child.
totally. Like making the sandwiches, brewing up the Kool-Aid, like really having to like fill in and do a lot. Like I have more memory of like taking care of the kids at that age than I do like actually playing. Though I will say, like, we were kind of like in the middle of nowhere. And so when we would play, it's like behind us is just fields and trees and like there's nothing. So we would go off. I have this memory of this like little cool spot that we found that was almost like a fort that someone had created. I think there was like maybe a bed out there
Oh,
and like
creepy.
maybe someone's like living there, but like we would go there to go hang out, just in the middle of the fucking woods, and so that was kinda
How
cool.
old is the youngest, like, age
Um,
difference from you?
I would say probably 8 years
Okay.
younger than me, and he and I are the only ones that, like, actually look like siblings, which is funny.
Interesting.
Even my sister Melody, who is my full-blooded sister, I think we look more like each other now, but as kids, like, I've always had dark features, dark hair, dark eyes. Melody had blonde hair, green eyes, like, super fair skin, and then the firstborn of their marriage has red hair, like, total ginger boy, and then another blondie girl, and then Kenneth, the youngest, is all dark features like me. We're the only ones that
Crazy.
actually look like siblings. Yeah, like lots of dad features for sure. Now, as I age, I look more like my mom, but always looked a lot like my dad growing up. And like, yeah, I really like adored and loved my dad. Like I always had this love for him. And so like being there, I always wanted to spend time with him and he
Mhm.
just wasn't like available. We weren't allowed in his room. Very rarely could we go in there. He used to keep a lot of, like, fancy aquatics, like, he had sharks at one point, like, little baby sharks.
Bro, you're poor,
I
like,
know.
spend on
Spending a
other
lot of
shit.
money on, like, he had different, um, reptiles at one point,
Why do people
caring a
in
lot for
trailers
stuff
always
like
have
this.
reptiles?
Yeah. He was really into this shit, but it's like what about your children? Like, you have
That's
5
a single
fucking
man's
kids. I
hobby.
know.
Yeah.
And, like, he'd have, like, friends over or, like, uncles would come over, and they'd just get high in the room. Like, I knew what the smell of pot was before I knew what I was smelling. I knew what a bong was before I knew what a bong was. Like, you're curious, "Why am I not allowed in there? I wanna know what's happening in there."
Mm. I
So
also think it's different back then because it's, like, hella illegal. Like,
yeah, exactly.
my friends smoking weed and, like, I don't know, like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not, like, a big
No,
thing, but back in the day, it
yeah,
was a really big deal.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
and very secretive.
And very secretive and, like, shitty weed. Like, I know the smell of
Mhm.
shitty weed. That
I
reminds
love
me of my
shitty weed.
dad. So, yeah, when I'd go to my dad's, like, I always wanted to go to my grandparents' house. Like, I
Same.
was like, "I wanna go see my grandparents." Their house was fucking sick. It was in Rye, Colorado, like, straight up in the mountains on some land. Their neighbor is, like, a block away. You get on this dirt road to even get there, and they had a really cool A-frame house. This is, like, where all the holidays were, and when I'd go there, my grandma Barbara, like, we would bake cookies or, like, do arts and crafts and, like,
Dad's mom?
this is yeah, my dad's parents, and my grandpa was around sometimes. He was a funny guy. Like, and also crazy. He was friends with, like, all the animals, like, straight up, like, would be friends with the bear and had lots of animals always working in the shed. There was this tree. It was this little crabapple tree that I used to go climb all the time out there, and I've been told that I would pick the apples and I go, "Ouch, ouch, ouch," like,
Cute.
as I'm picking them. I was, like, feeling the fucking tree, but also,
Cute.
like, wanted the fruit, and I would eat the shit out of crab apples, which, like, just give you diarrhea. Like, it's not good. They're not meant for eating. But that was, like, my tree, my little apple tree. I just loved being there. I just felt, like, wild and free, like, they literally were living the life out there. Or I'd wanna go to my aunt's house, my dad's sister, Aunt Karen, and her place was always fun. She was a hairstylist, and she had a little salon in her house, so we would, like, play in her chair, she'd color our hair
Cute.
when I got older. Of course, my mom would have fucking murdered her had she done that when I was younger, but yeah, and my dad would go over and then he'd do other drugs with her husband. And so, yeah, it's kind of crazy to think like then we would drive home and then like my dad's just high with his kids in the car and like I don't really know like pot was always like something that I was very aware of, but I know like Uncle Steve was messed the fuck out like so crazy. His boy room was even more like
Tweakery.
not allowed to be in there and he's fucking crazy. So yeah, that was like anytime growing up with my dad, that's just basically how it was. Lots of responsibility. And then at my mom's, like it was just me and my sister for a while, so it was a little bit more calm. Um and my mom also was like working probably 2 jobs and going to college, like all this stuff at the same time. So lots of other caretakers or grandparents helping out. Like I spent a lot of time with my grandma, I spent a lot of
Mhm.
time with my grandpa, and then a lot of like friends. So my mom, again, she's like barely in her teens, early 20s, and she's doing the college thing too at the same time. So she would have parties a lot at the
Yep.
house. She loved the gays. There were lots of gays around, and so I obviously just, like, grew to love all people in that way, and they were just so fun and fabulous and would like, my mom would sing with them. My mom has an incredible voice, like, she's a really, really beautiful singer. She
Hmm.
used to write her own songs. We always had a piano. There was always music in the house, and her best friend, Ron, they would always sing together, and, like,
Cute.
I could cry, like, watching them. I've seen them as adults together again and, like, listening to them sing and just how much they, like that love just comes back between them. It's
Cute.
very sweet. So lots of parties, lots of, just different people in the house. My mom's just, like, trying to balance everything and not knowing anything. But I feel like at the same time, she really did, like, her best growing up. Like, I look back on these days and I'm like, she definitely had to have had a lot of support around her, like, people that loved us, that could help, and because I don't know how she did it. And then a dating life on top of that. And my mom has spent her whole life looking for the father of her children. So she dated a lot. There were lots of like quick relationships that went serious real fast. And I don't know if they ever officially moved in or if they were just around a lot, but like by second grade, she had this boyfriend, and I think they were even engaged and he was living with us, but probably no more than a few months. His name was Glenn. I remember asking him, like, "Are you going to be our new daddy?" Like, this was just like put in our minds, I guess, or maybe we were also looking for that because our dad wasn't around. Like, I don't know. And he like abused my mom. My mom had several shoulder surgeries by that age because she kept dislocating her shoulders, and she had just had one recently at that time and like had a crazy like staples like putting her skin back together, and they got in a fight and he ripped it
Oh my
open.
God.
Yeah, really intense, and I think that was kind of what did it for him. And when he left, that house was really cool. That house was a
I think
really
my
cool
mom was
house.
engaged to 3 people
Yeah,
in my
I believe
childhood,
that.
and that's not even the 3 that she married.
Yeah, my mom's on her third too.
It's crazy because, like, it took me a lot to get one person to
Yeah,
propose and marry
I
me, like,
know.
I can't imagine doing that, and if this didn't work out, I wouldn't do that again.
Yeah,
I'm not really interested.
I think it's just a different time then,
Definitely.
and I mean, because of this too, like, seeing a lot of this throughout my life, I think made me realize, like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, this life looks hard, and this
Mhm.
isn't the life that I want for myself, and so I always kinda had this, like, more mature mindset. Because even at my mom's house, I was also responsible, like, I was doing laundry by the time I was 8, I was like, my mom taught me how to make pork chops when I was 8 in this house,
Crazy.
like, I was learning how to do all of these things, which is obviously super helpful, and I'm really grateful for a lot of
You're such
these
a
things. I
caretaker.
totally
Yeah.
am, and, that was like I had to help out. I was the oldest. I had to learn these things at a very young age, but I think I've always had kind of a more, like, wise, like, I've lived a long, long time as a soul, kinda energy about me too at the same time. I grew up a lot with my, like, cousins. Spent a lot of time at my Aunt Heidi's house, which is my
Mhm.
mom's younger sister, and they always had this tumultuous relationship, on again, off again, love each other deeply, hate each other to death, like crazy. So I spent a lot of time with her, and she was the person that really like taught me about the openness of spirituality, like at a very young age. I feel like I was no more than, like, kindergarten or 1st grade when she gave me this Libra necklace, like, I will not ever forget it. I'm always, like, looking for it again, and it was the scales with these 2 blue stones on the back, like, in the plates of the scale. Like, I can feel it. It was just so beautiful, and she's like, "Here for my little Libra baby," and I'm like, "What does that mean?" And so she taught me about being a Libra when I was so little, and I had, like, this thing that I thought was, like, a crazy dream that I remember I was telling her about, and I was like, "But it just feels so real." And she was the first person to, like, introduce to me the concept of past lives. And when she said that, it was like, "Oh, yeah, that's totally what this is." Like, it's more than a dream. I feel it in my body, like, this happened. And it's interesting because later in life, her son ended up describing a very similar situation to me, and I don't know, he got really heavy into drugs and stuff, so I don't know if he ever overheard the conversation and was, like, trying to woo me out, or if he genuinely also had the same experience and we spent past lives together, which I believe is also possible. But yeah, my Aunt Heidi was, like, very influential. Like, I loved spending time with her. She was just, like, so crazy and wild and so cool, like, very self-expressive, like, not afraid to look different, always had wild hair, tattoos, like, cool jewelry, wild makeup, like, purple mascara, like, just super wild, and I always really looked up to her, like, "Oh my god, I just wanna be so unapologetically like that." Like, she's just the coolest. I also spent a lot of time with these other cousins my mom's upbringing was kinda rough, and my grandpa, when she was growing up, was, like, a really bad alcoholic, and she was always looking for like, who is her family that's not her blood family, at a very young age. And so she grew up with these kids. They were called the Grinsteads. That was their last name. She went to school with some of them. And so she kind of became adopted into their family. There were 10 boys in this family, like huge, huge family. And she spent a lot of time with them and started going over like for holidays. Like she was just as much a daughter of theirs as the blood. And she became close with one of the wives, Diane, who actually is my dad's second cousin. Like I'm actually related to these people, but I didn't know that until I was like older. So I always called her Aunt Diane, and I'm like, "Oh, you're actually my cousin. That's wild." And her kids, she had 6 kids, and her third child was their first girl, Christy, and she and I were very similar in age. And Christy was like my best friend, also like troublemaker and like could be free. And we'd always like, she lived across the street from this park, and we would pack up little picnics and go like have picnics together, just the two of us. We'd literally make like ramen noodles and put it in a tub and go over to the park and hang out. And I felt really free at her house too, and lots of exploring together. And yeah, they were a really important family to us. Yeah, we loved the Grinsteads. They always felt like home. So anyways,
Do you talk to them at all?
not really. I'll get to that.
'Kay.
Yeah. So my mom, I think, was just like really trying to kind of find her place in life and figure out who she was and what she wanted to do and where she wanted to be. So my grandpa took my mom to New Mexico for the first time, and I was in second grade. Maybe it was like summer right after second grade. And she went to New Mexico and like totally fell in love with the desert. Was like, I just need to go back. This place is amazing. And that summer, my great grandfather had died. Her grandpa, my dad's dad, great grandpa Joe. And we spent a lot of time with him too growing up. Like, I have a lot of memories of him. And him and my mom would like play chess on his porch, and we'd go over and he'd always like give us a quarter. And he always had like the pantry stocked with raviolis, like Chef Boyardee, and those like little wafer cookies and Flintstone push-up pops. And so we'd always go over there and like eat ravioli from a can. Like, I mean, he grew up like Great Depression and always had like so much with very little, and definitely like he was so rich in so many ways. But yeah, Grandpa Joe was the best. And he lived until like his mid 80s, would ride his bike everywhere, every single day. I remember like picking him up from the grocery store one time. My mom's like, "Grandpa, you got to stop riding your bike." And he's like, "Never." Like, he was so, so cute. So great grandpa Joe had died that summer from cancer, and the day of his funeral, we went to the Grinstead's house and we were hanging out there after the funeral. And we used to play Marines all the time at their house. She had 2 older brothers, and so they were pretty rough. And it was like they kind of felt like my version of having older siblings and older brothers. And they grew up very much like military family, like in the greater scape of the Grinsteads, lots of military hard workers. And so they taught us how to play Marines, and we would literally like get on the roof of the house and jump off the roof onto the shed next to it. And it was so exhilarating, and we did it plenty of times before. But I was like not just into like climbing trees and scraping my knees and jumping off roofs. I also wanted to be a girly girl. And so this day, because it was the funeral, I was a little more dressed up. I wore my cousin's like cute shoes that tie up. They're like cute little witchy lacy boots. And I was like, let's go play Marines, but in my heels. And so I had done it a couple times. We're trying to get my sister to do it. She chickened out, went back down, and was like, okay, I'm just going to do it one more time. And so I get a running start and I jump off and I fucking land on my wrist all fucked up and like break my wrist. I land on the shed, but I just like, I'm fucked up. My face is all scraped up. So same day that my grandpa's funeral, I ended up going to the ER, broke my wrist.
Your poor mom.
My poor mom. I mean, that's where I was wild. Like, I just was a wild child and like down to play and get dirty. And yeah, climb all the trees, scrape my knees. So, yeah, I ended up like, not that night, but ended up having to go back after the swelling had gone down a little bit and get surgery so that they could, like, go in and fix it because I fucked it up so bad, like, both sides of my wrist were broken. I even have I don't know if I've ever shown you, like, a little,
I don't wanna see it.
well, you can't see it, but you can feel it, like, a little chip in my bone there. Yeah, so wild. I remember my dad visiting me in the hospital after that, and he brought me this stuffed monkey. He, like, always called me a monkey because I was just monkeying around. And that was, like, one of the times where I'm like, "My dad cares about me." Like, he's, like, showing up for something, on his own. And then, yeah, right after that, before that, actually, while my mom was in New Mexico, we were staying with my grandma and she was watching us and we went to like this Head Start after school program and I was running outside to go get my sister, I think, and I tripped on the blacktop there that was all like jaggedy and went sliding and like had already fucked up my face. I had to get stitches like on my
This
forehead.
was before?
This was before I broke my arm and, like, underneath my nose, like, above my lip, while my mom's out of town. So, like, my grandma's having to take me to go do this, and, like, my sister says she has this memory of me, like they had me, like, in the nurse's office or whatever, and my face is all fucked up, and I had, like, rocks, like, in the wounds and stuff, like, really fucked up. So that had happened while she was in New Mexico, and then a few months later, grandpa died, and so I, like, have a broken wrist and, like, fucked up face. This is all before 3rd grade. And then we moved to New Mexico for the first time. And so I start school shortly after that. I end up getting head lice and my mom's having to like dig out the lice in my hair and I have a lot of hair. So we did like 2 or 3 treatments and it still like wasn't clearing up. So then my mom took scissors to my hair and like cut it like shorter than what it is now. So I have my arm in a sling and scars on my face and
A
this
fucked up
fucked
hair
up hair
pattern.
all before picture day in 3rd grade in a new city.
I can't wait to see that picture.
Yeah, I definitely have I've found them. They're pretty funny. I remember just feeling, like, devastated because I even at that age, like, I cared about what I looked like. Like, I always knew I mean, yeah, the 90s,
3rd grade?
3rd
Oh,
grade.
I was, like, fully putting on a full face of makeup and, like,
Mhm.
straightening my hair 700 times a day,
Yeah.
and they called me fried head because I was getting
Oh,
highlights, my mom was
no.
taking me to get waxed,
My
like,
gosh.
I probably went in a tanning bed a couple years
So
later, but, like,
young.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely tried to wear makeup, I think, at that age, but I definitely wasn't allowed. Like, I was sneaking it to school. Yeah, and I think too, like, my mom was very aware of her appearances after having like, she was always bigger boned, a little thicker, and then having babies and, like, trying to do life, like, she definitely had put on a lot more weight, and so, like, hearing my mom talk bad about
Mhm.
herself at a very young age, I think made me very aware
Yeah, I
of
mean,
what I
my
looked like
mom
too.
was tiny and still, like,
Yeah.
talking about how fat she was, so,
Yeah.
like and I was a bigger kid, so, like, imagine
Oh,
how that made
yeah.
me feel and why I ended
Totally.
up having an eating disorder because my
Exactly.
tiny little mom thinks she's fat, then I must really be fat.
Yeah, totally. Well,
And,
and
like,
it's that time too, like, the
magazines, yeah.
magazines and, like, all the diet drugs, and it was just so in their faces, like, even when my mom was that age in the '70s, like, I when my grandpa died, we're like he kept so many wild newspapers and things and, like, seeing, like, literal women I forget there was something I took a picture of it, I wonder if I'll be able to find it, but, like, "Here's what your, regimen for the day is," and it's, like,
Mhm.
a vodka martini with a grapefruit and a glass of white wine with a
Cigarette.
tea, and it's
Yeah.
like, "This is all you should be eating for the day," and it's like, that was the '70s, and then my mom was a teenager in the '80s, and it's just, like, was in our faces,
It's
forever.
also the theory of, like, if you keep women hungry and malnourished, then you
Yeah,
keep
you
them
can
weak.
control them.
Yeah.
Exactly, totally. Yeah, it's just wild to think, like, a little 8-year-old is,
Yeah.
like, just very aware and thinking
By
about
10, I started starving myself.
yeah, that's so
I would sit
intense.
down, I remember I'd sit somewhere and my grandma would be like, "Suck it in." And like, we were at the
Yeah.
movies, it's dark in here. Why do you need me to
Mhm.
suck it in? Or like, you can put your purse in front of your belly and people
You
won't
know what?
see it.
Speaking of, here I am with a pillow in front of my belly.
Same.
Here's my belly. She's beautiful.
Which also, like, my grandma was not a small lady
Mm.
either.
Women are not supposed to be. We carry babies. We should be a little bit more round and have a little bit more cushion. I mean, and also genetics like play a huge part into that. Like there's not one woman in my family that is small. Like
Yeah.
we're not small women.
Yeah.
So like why would I think that I can beat that and be
Yeah.
any different too? Yeah. So anyways, we moved to New Mexico. I got head lice and I looked like a little boy in 3rd grade and I was very insecure about that. And that same year like my mom had already found another boyfriend. I think his name was Steve. He was a car salesman. I feel like he also lived with us or at least was around all the time. And it's like it's kind of hard to know because like my mom was a single mom. So like it's not like she could go spend the night and more likely that they would come spend the night. Like we didn't live there for very long cuz in 3rd grade I right before 3rd grade, moved to New Mexico. In the middle of the 3rd grade, we moved back to Colorado. By the end of 3rd grade, we were back in New Mexico. I moved back
One
and
whole
forth all in
year?
one school year. I went to 3 different schools in New Mexico on both sides. So, like, we moved back and forth quite a lot, which when you move away for the first time, like, I remember the first time I moved away, I was so, like, sad and scared and lonely. Like, within the first 4 months, I was like, I want to move back home too. And I ended up sticking it out and it was fine. So I can only imagine like my mom moving away from all her family and everything she knows with 2 young children, how she felt.
Keep going. I'm just gonna grab Crystal.
Okay. Um, so I totally understand like wanting to move back home and then being like, "Oh wait, I remember why I left," and moving back. So, and yeah, I don't even know what I can't remember what school I went to in Colorado. Like it was just so short. It was almost as if we were visiting. And like how the fuck did we do that? Like it's not cheap to move.
That's what I was wondering. How did your single mom afford
I
to
think my
move?
grandpa helped her a lot. So my grandpa was always like this provider and like savior when things
Yeah.
were going on. Like even into my young adulthood, I could call grandpa for like a bailout for a couple
Yeah.
$100, you know? So I'm sure my grandpa was just like, whatever you need. And also, he was like abusive and an alcoholic. So I feel like he probably also felt like I need to do better than what I did
Yeah.
when they were kids. So I think he was also trying to heal a lot of that, which is great. Good and like lucky for us because he was the like solid father figure in my life growing up. So yeah, back in New Mexico by the end of 3rd grade and we were living in these I think they were triplexes and they were like 3 on this side and 3 on this side and we had like a little courtyard between us. And that's where we met Lisa and Liebert O'Sullivan and their daughter Kanani, who was like a year older than well, we were like 6 months apart, but she was a grade ahead of me. And then we became like childhood besties and like had lived like I don't know. We grew up together. We never went to the same schools. Like they had money. They were living in the triplex in front of us, but because they owned it and they were in transition. And Lisa really helped raise us too. Lieber, her husband, worked out of the country 9 months out of the year, and she was a stay-at-home mom and with one child and took care of Kanani. And then when my mom needed help and we were out of control, oh, I forgot my brother was born.
To who?
So, oh my God,
What
so much
man?
life. God, how did I? Sorry, Michael, Damien. This is before we moved to New Mexico. My mom had a baby
With who?
also with TJ, and so
Were they
they
married?
were never married, but so my mom's other adopted family, Grandma Annie, and I think my mom met her out at a bar when she'd go out to sing karaoke with her gay bestie, and Annie used to go sing karaoke all the time too. And I think she was just one of those older ladies that was like, "You're my child now." And so my mom started coming around Annie's a lot. We knew her as Grandma Annie. She was a hoot. I love that woman. She'd always eat like fresh vegetables like cucumbers and radishes, and then she put like salt on it and eat it. And she always had those little boxes of raisins around. So we'd always eat those. And she had ferrets and cockatiels. Like, was just a wild woman, and smoked cigarettes, like chain smoked cigarettes, and always had her makeup on. She had this like little mole on her chin that she would like color with the eyeliner. Like she was fabulous. So her son, TJ, and my mom,
Mm.
and this is like the love of my mom's life. Like I think even today, maybe things have grown a little bit, but like my whole life I've heard of TJ being like the one that got away for her, like her love of her life. And he was in the military. I forget what branch, but while he was away, my mom was pregnant with my brother. So this was in 92, I think. So literally right before we moved to New Mexico. My mom, like my brother was less than a year old. Can you
By
imagine?
herself.
By herself. So they didn't work
Because
out.
TJ went to the military?
No, they were like they were together, but they just like didn't work out. But he was a pretty good dad. Like he was around more. Like we called him Daddy TJ. Like he played with us. He was like a lot of fun. He hung around, but and then they were still good friends, like even through everything, like forever. They were good. They remained good friends, but they never worked out. But my mom was always like in love with him.
Cute, but sad.
Yeah. And so yeah, that's so crazy. How did I forget that my brother was there? So moving back and forth 3 times
With 3
with 3 young
kids.
kids, one of which is a baby, like less than a year old. That's so crazy.
Yeah, no.
I don't know how.
Sometimes I feel like I'm a sissy when I think about, like, how all these women with these children just do all these things, and I'm just,
Uh-huh.
like, in my soft girl era.
Yeah, so much. I mean, but she was so young. Like when you're young, you're just kind of a little
You
bit
just do it.
more yeah, you don't you might be scared, but you're just like you're not really thinking bigger
You're kinda
picture.
dumb
Yeah, totally,
also. Like, you don't
totally.
have a frontal lobe, so
So crazy. So so yeah, so when we're all like going crazy, Lisa across the way is like comes in and she like fucking puts us in line and like doesn't care if we're crying. Like she was great, but she was a hardcore. And she also was like so super clean. So she was always like, this is disgusting, like how you guys live and how your mom works so hard for you and how you're treating her terrible. Like she would come in and kick our ass in that way and like get our shit going, which I'm like grateful. Like she was a big help and like she's fucking hilarious. She's still in our lives. And her and
and maybe one of the only, like, stable people
yeah.
you'd really
And no
met.
matter, like, where we were, like, we could always call on Lisa. Like, she helped us a lot. She helped my mom a lot. Like, so crazy. So, Kanani and I, like, she went to, like, private schools and stuff, but I was, like, the poor kid friend, and she's the rich kid friend, and we were, like, besties, no matter what. And, yeah, we always had a good time. We'd make up dances all the time. We'd put on like Michael Jackson or Janet Jackson and like do these dances for our parents. And
Mm.
yeah, she taught me like so much throughout my whole life. Like she was just so smart. And I think I always felt like I was so dumb compared to her. But bitch went to private
Yeah,
school.
she had education
She had
money.
good education. So yeah, so they remained a big part of our life. So in this time, I remember like we're living in these triplexes and like both me and my mom are kind of like missing home in Colorado and like I'm missing Christy, my cousin, the Grinsteads and like and Grandma Annie and so we're always like those were always our places that we went to when we would go home and I remember like like I'm in 4th grade like I'm so young and so wise and I'm just like like we can make it happen, can't we? Can't we find a way to like just go for a couple of days? And we're literally like ripping apart the couches, finding all the coins around the house to get just gas
Well,
money.
how far is the drive?
It's like 5.5, yeah, 5.5 hour drive. I'm like, if we could just get the gas money and money for snacks, like we'll be taken care of while we're there. Like, let's go. Like, it's important. to go feel like that love from family and reconnect and also remember why we don't live there too. So we would do that and we would literally go in the middle of the night, like just disappear, get all the kids in the car. And on those drives, like it was routine. And we'd always get a chocolate milk and those like chocolate wax donuts. And that was like our snack for the road. And so it's just like this weird nostalgic thing of like going on a road trip and getting this shitty food.
It's like my mom's best friend lived in Ohio, and I remember her packing us up in the middle of the night and being like, "We're being spontaneous." But as an adult,
Totally.
I'm like, what was wrong? Like, why did we have to
Yeah.
leave in the middle of the night? Because it was she
Yeah.
made it really fun, but like, I
Yeah.
feel like maybe something bad was
Something.
happening,
Totally.
and you just don't know that when you're little.
Totally. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there was some of that. I'm sure a lot of it was like loneliness and just like
Yeah.
missing that. But like, yeah, who fucking knows if anything else was going on that was just like, I just need my friends and family
Mhm.
right now. I need to go home and where it's familiar and
Yeah.
where you feel safe. So we would do that like a lot, just like we got to go home. We miss our family. And we would either like show up, we would surprise a lot. We'd either show up at Grandma Annie's
It's not
house
like you had cell
first.
phones.
Yeah, no cell phones, like literally look at a map ahead of time and find your way home. Or we would stop at the Grinsteads and we would like get there first thing in the morning. So we would drive all night so that we could just surprise them. And when that would happen, if we stopped at the Grinsteads, then they would pull the kids out of school and we get to play all day. Or I'd get to go to school with them, which was always really fun.
It's
I
so
don't know
weird.
how, but it's like, yeah, you got to like
Small town.
totally like, and so I went to
Before school shooters.
yes, also that.
Yeah.
So I would go to school with Christy a lot and like get to like
That's so
it
funny.
was so fun. We would have such a good time and like just to meet her friends. It felt so like loose, like not
No.
like not like it wasn't
That
like
would not
going to
happen. Yeah.
school. It was I feel like every class we went to was like fun. We'd also like when on the days where she didn't have to go to school, we'd like go to Kmart and like shoplift makeup and stuff or go to the movies, like just walking around town doing whatever the fuck we wanted. Literal freedom. Like couldn't get any better than that. Flirting with the boys. So yeah.
Goldie's never gonna get to understand
No.
what life was like
I'm like,
back in the
how do
day.
you nowadays like let your kid and again, I'm like 8 or 9 years old, like so little. I couldn't imagine letting an 8 or 9-year-old just like
Do
go wander
anything.
around town without cell phones, like, and no clocks. Like, do we
I
have a time to
also
get home? I don't
right.
know.
I don't think things are more dangerous now. I think we're just more aware.
Yeah.
I think it was actually sketchier
Yeah,
back then. 'Cause there's
100%.
literally cameras on every single fucking house and
Totally.
corner. People are always like, nowadays. And it's like, no, I think
it's
we're
always
just
been
like
that way.
more aware.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Because we saw what
in
happened
the
and we're
80s
like,
and
let's not.
90s, like I was home alone after school because my mom was at work. By the time I was 7 or 8 years old, taking care of my two younger siblings, the babies.
Yeah.
Like I was responsible for
Yeah.
them.
I would
How?
never leave Aurora alone with my child.
No.
And she's not 8
I
or
was
9.
doing that. That was my job. I
I
was
think
so grown
by
up.
3rd grade, I was home alone with my little sisters.
Yeah, totally. And like you have all
But
the
there was family across the
members.
street and stuff, you know.
Not for me.
Yeah.
I had the list of phone numbers and stuff in case of emergency. I knew all the rules, but there
Every
were
single
some
neighbor,
times
I could like run next
yeah,
door and be
yeah,
like, help.
yeah, totally. Just so crazy. So yeah, we did that. And on one of these trips around 3rd or 4th grade, it was probably 4th grade, we're at Grandma Annie's house and there is this young cowboy also at her house
Who the
that
fuck is this?
that my mom is like, ooh la
Uh,
la. And he drives back to New Mexico with us.
what?
This is Sean. This is my mom's next husband.
He just hopped in the car.
Just met him that night. He drove back with us to New Mexico.
Sorry, Mom. Poor Judd. Yeah. A lot of bad
yeah.
choices.
So yeah, I think, and this was probably around the holidays, if I remember correctly, like Thanksgiving time, which is probably also part of why we were like, let's spontaneously go home because were away from home around the holidays for the first
It's
time.
also like, what if you would have never went home that weekend?
Yeah, totally. Like, what if we didn't pull apart the couches? So, okay, so I don't really know when or where, but somewhere in this time, my mom was already like interested in Wicca. Which like if you've been around and you've listened to past episodes, you know that like my religious upbringing was very different and um like my mom grew up Lutheran and Catholic and then was exploring. And so I don't know who or like who she found that originally introduced this, but I know that by the time Sean was there, she was already like a practicing witch somehow. So Shelly, who I interviewed on here, was probably one of the first friends I think that she met that introduced her to this. And we were going to her house a lot and they would have their moon rituals
Oh,
in New Mexico. Yeah, she lived like on the west side, so it was a good drive on some property, really cool place. Um, yeah, so this must have been before Sean when that was happening. And so we've brought Sean back to New Mexico with us. I remembered seeing him get out of my mom's bed naked. May or may not have seen a quick flash of a dick. Like, don't quite
blocked it
remember
out.
my memory, but I know that he was naked. Like,
Like the next day?
yeah, like, in my memory, like, for sure, like, we just got home and I'm like, "Wait, this guy's naked in my mom's bed.
Do you
Interesting."
think they had just met then too?
Yeah,
Like they didn't know each other
as far as I
before?
know, that was their first meeting, like, from
Oh,
I know, I know. Well, and I think too because, like, he was at Annie's house, like, my
trusted
mom
him.
was like, "Yeah." And so, they all went to karaoke all the time. His dad, Sean's dad, was the karaoke DJ. So I think there
Mm,
was a lot of relationship built up,
totally.
already at this
And
point.
maybe people had been like for a long time, like, oh, you should meet so and so or
Yeah,
whatever.
possibly,
Yeah.
for sure. But it was, like, the first time they really, like, met. And so, mind you, Sean is 7 years younger than my mom. He's 10 years older than I am. Like, let that sink in. Like, I'm 10 years old and he's 20,
Okay. And your
and my
mom's
mom's 27
okay.
at this point, if mathin' is mathin'. Um, which is fucking crazy. Like, and at
Little
that
gross.
age, I'm, like, so young that, like, I don't really know an adult that's 20 versus an adult that's 30. Like, I don't really understand it quite yet, but I almost do. I'm almost there. And so, yeah, he's just now like living at our house all of a sudden. And he's like so fun and like I remember he'd like make some really good meals and, was just like, "Hey, kids like me." Love bombing the shit out of my mom, all of that. So this was like end of November, early December. By May they were married. Like, so fucking fast. So, so, so fast. And they had a pagan hand fasting wedding in her friend Kimmy's backyard, like, jumping over Guinevere. If you know, you know. And at that point, like, we had moved to the west side, and so I was, like, in a whole 'nother school district, and if you're in New Mexico, if you move from the northeast side to the west side, you practically move to another fucking city. Like, you were so far removed
In
from.
Albuquerque?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so now we're living on the west side. We lived in this really cool house there. I remember that. It was like one of our first nice houses, or at least it felt that way in my young kid memory. Like first like
Two incomes.
fancy,
Was he working?
probably, but he just has a really bad track record through their marriage that like who fucking actually knows.
Yeah.
And like they had like a nice master bedroom with like private bathroom that was big and like or again in little kid memory it felt really big.
Compared to
I
anything
had my
else
own
you'd
bedroom,
yeah.
which like I never had my own bedroom before, and like I sacrificed to have this tiny little playroom. There was basically the wall had built-in what are they called, like the toy
Yeah.
bins, and my bed fit in there with like no walking room. Like I was like, I don't care, I just want my own space. Like I'm growing up, I want my own room. I remember like we lived further from Kanani, but she would come spend the night, and in this house we had like a beautiful sunroom. With this house, we also adopted a dog that came with the house, which was a really weird
Yep,
situation.
that's weird.
There was a dog, it was a basset
I've
hound.
never heard of
His
that.
name was Flash,
Cute.
and he basically was like an outside dog and, like, lived in this little, like, dog run out there, and, yeah, moving into the house, we had to, like, also accept the dog,
They're
which
like,
was
"You can
weird.
stay here, but this is your dog now."
Yeah, it's very strange. There was, like, a cute little playhouse out there. I remember this was the year I learned about La Llorona, who is, like, the woman at the water who's, like, dead, like, this dead ghost looking for her children, like, so she's always crying for her children. This was, like, what do they
Old
call it?
wives' tale.
Yeah, what is it? There's a word for it that I'm thinking of, like an urban legend.
Yeah.
Uh, and New Mexico is very rich in culture and, uh, so yeah, it's very interesting. I remember I just have, like, this weird memory of, like, sweeping the little playhouse and thinking about La Llorona, and, like, she's crying for her children, and so the myth is that she comes and snatches you up because she's trying to find her children,
Yeah.
and so I'm like, "La Llorona is gonna come get me. Oh, no. I better keep the house clean." Okay, we just took a little break to pee, and you were starting to tell me a funny story about your little myth in your town. Tell me on the mic.
Well, I don't really remember the full I need to ask my sister. There is, like, a statue of this young girl. She had to have been, like, 8 or something in the graveyard, like, it was her tombstone. Her name was Annie, I don't remember how she died. Some people said the flu, some other people said she, like, fell through a screen door
Oh my god, those are 2 very different things.
while playing the violin. I don't know, she had a
While
violin.
playing the
Yeah.
violin, oh my god.
'Cause she, like her statue, like, had a violin, and it was, like the myth was, like, this rich family, like, built her this, crazy statue of herself. But we would, like, play Ring Around the Rosie and, like, repeat her name in the graveyard. First of all, I was always playing in this graveyard. Like, didn't think it was weird,
Was
was
this in Centralia?
yeah, it was at the cemetery across the street from my dad's best friends. It was, like, my favorite place to, like
Love that.
and so we would, like, hold hands and run in circles and be like, "Annie," and we were trying to, like, resurrect her, like and then sometimes we'd be like, "Oh my god, I see her ghost," or whatever, but I didn't really.
I love that.
But that we were doing all kinds of sketchy shit all the time. Ouija
Uh-huh.
boards,
Oh, yeah.
light as feather, stiff as a
Oh,
board,
yeah. Did a lot
really
of that too.
nasty truth or dares. I
Yeah.
made her, like, same house, dip bread in the toilet and lick peanut butter from between
Oh.
my toes.
Oh, so nasty.
So, that was all over at my dad's bestie's house. His
Ruthless.
daughter was the same age as mine.
Remind me to never play truth or dare with you.
Yeah, don't. But yeah, that's Annie. She
That's
was
so
like our
funny.
town ghost,
My goodness.
child ghost, which is maybe a little
A little
scarier.
creepy,
Yeah.
yeah. So funny.
Okay.
Kids are wild. So yeah, anyways, like this house it was really beautiful, a lot
Was
of
it
fun.
cheaper on that side of town?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot cheaper. Like I, as the white girl in school, was the minority in school. Like, and really that was
Was it mostly Native American kids?
lots of Hispanic kids for sure, mostly. And that's true for like all over New Mexico.
Yeah.
Being like it wasn't ever like mass whiteness in most schools until I would say like my middle school was probably more white, but still like a good mix of races. So I always grew up just like we're all people here. Like
Which makes
luckily.
me a little sad for Goldie being out here in such like a
Yeah,
whitewashed area. Like I wish she had more access to like other things than white people.
totally. And I feel like even since I've been here, I've seen a lot of that growing, though right now we
Yeah,
live in
but
some really
it's
fucked up, unprecedented times,
different.
so
I
who
don't know.
fucking knows? Yeah, like growing up in New Mexico, like lots of Hispanic families, lots of Black families, lots of Native American families, just like very, very rich in
Culturally, yeah.
culture living in New Mexico, which I'm really grateful for. Yeah, I'd say like when we lived on the Northeast Heights of New Mexico, it was a little more white than it was anywhere else, but still like yeah, very mixed, which I'm really, really grateful for because yeah, and I don't think like you get that in a lot of places.
No, I think you get that in most places besides Oregon.
Yeah,
Black people weren't allowed in the
yeah,
state.
yeah, yeah,
Like other country or other states had like even I mean it's horrible, but had slaves, but Oregon was like, no, we don't even want
yeah.
them here.
What is that called again? Mm, towns?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, some of the places still
yeah,
are.
yeah. So
Yeah.
fucked up.
Grants Pass still is.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yep.
How do we change that?
Legally, I don't know.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, we need to start a petition.
We need to change that. I don't know how, but let us know how if you know how.
'Kay, I agree.
Yeah, so definitely a lot cheaper, which is probably why I was like, we feel rich in this house. You know, we all got our own bedrooms and everything. I don't remember how long we lived there. I think we were back on the other side of town like fairly quick. We brought Flash with us and like I just moved around so much. So I think like by the end of 4th grade I was living back on the Northeast Heights area, and 5th grade was like the first year, I believe, maybe 2nd grade too, but 5th grade was like the first year where I like went to the same school all year, like did not move around. So I was like always the new kid growing up, always having to make new friends. And in this house that we were living in, I like we were living more south. We were in a different school district, but we really wanted us to go into the school district that we had been into before moving to the West Coast. And so my mom had to show me and my sister how to ride the city bus for the first time. And so we got on the bus and rode it all the way to the north side of town, and we'd get off there and walk the rest of the way to school. And so for the rest of this year, we were riding the city bus to school so that we could go
Also,
to
for
that old school.
perspective, you were like from a really small town and moved to a city too for
Yeah.
the
Oh,
first
yeah,
time. Yeah.
totally. Good point. Like, so crazy. And New Mexico was known to be more dangerous also, or at least had a reputation of it at that time. Who knows? It could just also be because there was more brown people
Yeah.
there and people
I
wanted
think
to highlight how dangerous it was because of that,
I
which
think
is
some people think
bullshit.
Albuquerque's a little sketchy.
Parts of town for sure
Yeah.
can be, but living in Pueblo, Colorado, I feel like was probably just as sketchy, like just a bunch of white people doing it, so you don't
Yeah.
hear about it as much.
And it's a small town, so it's like
Exactly.
normal.
Yeah. So think this is like my memory of starting to create like my own little potions in this house. And I would go to the kitchen and like pull down the olive oil or canola oil and put it in a mason jar and just start sprinkling in like herbs and spices.
Your mom's like, "Why are you wasting my
I
groceries?
know.
We're poor."
I think she loved it. And, you know, a little bit of just like, look at her making her healing oils. I'm pretty sure it was like the end of 4th grade here. Um, yeah, just like really starting to explore a little bit more of like my own magic. And this was also the first time where I have like memory of like Sean. I think Sean was doing like he would have like security gigs. I remember he did like car salesman stuff for a little bit. And I don't know what my mom was doing at the time, but I don't remember her around as much and us being left with Sean a lot more. And like
Which sounds like her husband. Like, of course, that's who she trusts with her
exactly,
kids.
exactly. Why would you think? And like, yeah, I'm like 4th or 5th grade, one of the two. And I'm starting to develop. Like my boobs are starting to change. And like, you know, I know at least for girls, like your nipples start to get soft when you first start developing and you can kind of see it through a shirt. I remember I have this memory of him like telling me to go change into pajamas or something. And he's like, but I need to see. And I remember like being like, "What? Like, why do you need to see?" And like me being aware that my body is starting to look different. And so I literally like had to change my shirt in front of him in my bedroom and like feeling so uncomfortable about it, but not really sure why. But just knowing like I don't know why you need to watch me change my shirt. And that was it, like, that I remember at least that happened, but, like, it's a memory that comes up of, like, this is where it first started. Like, it started
Yucky.
so much earlier than,
And
like
not innocently, but like kind of for you. Like,
for sure.
also, if that's the only thing that ever would have happened, it like kind of would have been something you forgot about, maybe.
Probably, yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I don't even think I, like, really ever consciously remembered that part happening until, like, way later, but just being like, "Oh, that was a little
Yeah.
weird," like,
Yeah.
you know? And, like, this is probably about a year, year and a half to them being together even. So, like, he'd been around long enough, like, in a child's mind, like, that's forever, but not very long to
Yeah.
be in a relationship as an adult. And then at some point, I don't remember before or after, but in this same house, he got arrested, like, at our house. Like, we didn't know what was going on.
Like, the cops came to your
Cops came to our
house
house
to
and
get
arrested
him?
him in the kitchen in front of us, and we're like, "What the fuck's going on?" Like, weird, and apparently it was, like, a charge that he, like, stole from his dad, like, stuff, so this came out, and we were like, "What the fuck?" I don't remember how long he was in jail, maybe a week, and, of course, he was like, "This is all a lie," and now, like, now saying that out loud, like, I remember when we first picked him up and, like, we're driving back to New Mexico, like, we made a stop at his dad's house. So, he could have totally, like, stolen something for some cash from his dad, like, when we're leaving town. And his dad was a karaoke KJ, like, he had some expensive equipment, and had been doing it for a really long time. Like, back in the day with the old CD books, lots of money invested in that. So, I don't know what, but he ended up getting arrested. And then it was, like, this whole thing, like, I remember, like, our room there's, like, the living room, the kitchen, and our room, and between our room is, like, the heater vent, so you could, like, hear sometimes through the heater vent in the wall, and, like, me and my sister having to be in our room and them having an argument in the living room and
Mhm.
us, like, trying really intently to listen through the vent, and not really being able to quite make it up, but it's, like, one of the first times I remember them arguing. It was probably around the same time, I would guess, and him just, like, writing it off to be some misunderstanding or whatever, and then, like, yeah, like, he still was there, like, I don't know whatever really came of that, and then his grandma started visiting us a lot from Wisconsin, and she was uber Catholic, like, several times a week
His
Catholic,
grandma?
his grandma. And she was sweetest lady, so, so sweet. I remember she'd always talk about her, like, whiskers on her chin and, like, talking about when you're older, you're gonna have the same problem. Just funny old lady stuff. She was very kind, though, but when she came, the altar got taken down, the broom went into the closet, and we put on our Catholic suits, and we'd go to church. And it's, like, really one of the first times I think I remember going to church other than, like, when we were really, really little and we got baptized. I don't remember a lot of church activity for us before then. And in this house is also when my mom, like, decided to not be Wiccan anymore. So she did that for, like, 2 years or so, I think. And that's if you know, you know. Again, Guinevere, her broom was burned in that backyard. That backyard was really cool. Like, Sean had built a pond that we had, like, goldfish in, and we used to
Your
make.
parents, they owned this
No,
house?
we rented it.
Oh,
I don't know if he had permission to do it or not, but he was really good at it, like, did a really good job with
cool.
building ponds. It wasn't the first pond he ever built in a home that we lived in. My sister would make little fairy gardens and stuff in the backyard, like, it was a really beautiful backyard. We had this huge tall tree. I remember one time, I don't even know why or what, I was thinking about this recently, but, like, Sean was up in the tree with a knife and ended up, like, getting the knife in his elbow, and we, like, had to go to the emergency room for that. I was thinking about it the other day, like, why the fuck was he up there? What was he doing? And how the fuck did he get a knife in his arm like that? Like, that's fucking nuts.
Idiot.
Such a dummy. So, yeah, let me think for a second from here, because we just moved around so much. I feel like at this point, we all moved back to Colorado. This is right before 6th grade, right before I start middle school. We moved back to Pueblo, and this is where him and his dad start to, like, cultivate a relationship and healing, because he was like, they didn't really have a big relationship. I don't know where his mom ever was. We never met her. I think she wasn't ever in the picture. And yeah, I started middle school out there. I went to the middle school that my mom went to, which was kind of cool, called Pitts Middle School. And this is where I, like, really remember getting, like, super into music, like, more. Like, I think I always really liked music when I was a kid, like, always trying to sneak in, like, MTV and whatnot, but I, like, fucking loved Jewel, like, Pieces of You was, like, the best album. I think, Spice Girls were starting to come out. Um, yeah, just, like, really, like, stepping into that
That's some
teenage
good
self,
music.
like, going to the roller rink every weekend and just, like, I don't know, it just felt, like, free. I was close with my cousins again, like, lived pretty close by, so I got to spend more time with Christy, which I loved. I had a friend, my best friend in 6th grade, her name was Angela, and she lived in this really tiny, tiny, tiny home, her mom and her sister, and it was literally, like, 1 bedroom, and her mom lived in this tiny room, and we were kinda feral there. We're left alone a lot and just, like, spending time, like, girling out, talking to the boys. We used to drink Tang all the time, like, had that mix up. Her mom was super poor, like, I thought we were poor, but they were very poor and, like, didn't have a whole lot, and I remember my mom it was also cool 'cause her mom so there's the book I've talked about in the very first episode, Mountains, Meadows, and Moonbeams by Mary Summer Rain. My mom really loved this author and wrote a lot of spiritual books, and Angela's mom lived on Mary Summer Rain's property, which
Oh.
is really wild. So, not in this time, but,
Yeah.
like, had previously lived with her, and so my mom just feeling, like, kind of this kinship with her mom was a lot older too, very frail. I don't think she was eating a whole lot because they just didn't have a whole lot, and I remember Christmas coming around and my mom, like, really wanting to do something. Like, we were always like, we may not have a lot, but we always have something we can do and give, or, like, whether it's home or a meal or whatever, like, we are able to provide something for others, and so that was always very instilled in me.
It is 11:50. Do you wanna post something on Moonbees
Oh, I
saying
have it scheduled at 1 at least,
okay,
so thank you.
okay,
I'll do it. I don't care.
okay.
We're playing.
I just want her to respect whatever.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so that year we went to the dollar store and we got to pick out, like, a bunch of stuff, and we kinda did, like, a secret Santa drop off for them. Bless you.
Whew!
And that felt, like, really special, like, just one of I don't know, it's like my mom had all these, like, beautiful ways that like, she's such a caretaker and such a giver and such a
So
lover.
social, so many,
So
like,
social, totally.
friend group.
And I just, like that's something that just always, like, really was so imprinted on me where I'm like, no matter what, like, there's always something I can give, and, like, I remember we had to keep it a secret, like, I could never tell Angela that we did this. We literally
Oh,
wrapped up all
wow.
the presents, put them in a plastic bag, ding dong ditch, dropped them off, like, on her porch and
And they
ran,
never knew.
and they never knew, and I remember, like,
Wow.
at school, her telling me, like, about it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what did you get?" And, like, feeling like I had this beautiful little secret and, like, seeing her, like, light up over these things that I had picked out just for her,
Right.
and, like, it was such a good feeling and so special, and to do it for someone that I really cared a lot about, and I don't know, just my mom has such a good heart, and she just wants to give, like, everything shirt off her your back, like, to anyone, and just to see, like, how much people, like, can take advantage and leech
Yeah.
from that kind of person, and that's, like, what I feel like happened a lot with my mom, like, trying to find, like, the perfect man and, like, really wanting to feel that true love that, like, we're all made to believe exists, this fairy tale, and yeah, so we lived in Colorado for most of my 6th grade year until, like, springtime, and then back to New Mexico again, where I started at Madison Middle School, and that's where I met Holly and
I was
Monica,
wondering.
who, like, are still some of my closest, bestest, most amazing friends ever. And, like, these were, like, people always talk about, like, the good old days in high school and whatever, and, like, for me, it's kind of like middle school, like, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It was really, like, such a great coming of age feeling, like,
Yeah.
coolest best friends, like, really
Yeah.
being free and silly and goofy, like, being around people that really, like, bring out
Yeah.
that special thing
Same.
inside of you. And yeah, I'm really grateful like for all of that, and especially like because of all the other intense stuff that like came after. This wasn't the first time, but like on and off my grandpa would come live with us for a while too, like both in New Mexico. He also always wanted to like be in New Mexico. So sometimes he'd come and stay with us for a little while, sometimes he'd live with us for like several months, and that was always nice because I think to me, like looking back, it was like we had this protector around us and it was almost like Sean had to like be good or try to be good because my grandpa is not someone to fucking mess with. Like, he is a fucking Marine. He's hardcore. He used to build his own guns. Like, he had a whole, like, what is it called? Like, gun shop. Like he had all these old like antique guns too from like Civil War and stuff. Like he would fucking shoot a guy and not think twice about it. Like don't fuck with him. So like having him around, it was like we always felt really safe. Like we would be okay, you know? And yeah, so I think it was 7th grade. There was one night and like Sean was just really awful. Like he just was such an asshole and like verbally abusive all the time. He was disgusting. He was so messy. I remember one time like my friend and I were like, God, it just smells so gross here. Like, and his hair looks so greasy. And like, when was the last time he showered? And we literally were counting on my calendar, like how many days. And it was like 3 fucking weeks that he didn't take a shower. Like
Weeks?
weeks. Like and
Ugh.
just like judging by how greasy his hair was is kind of our guess. He'd sit on the ground and play video games all the time. He went back to college and like for sure my mom's dime and the state's dime and like fucking joined a fraternity and had his whole like college experience, but like was married with these kids. Like he'd have boys over at our house partying. We stayed in a hotel one night. He took me to the fraternity with him one time. I'm like 12 years old. And I remember one of them being like, "Damn, she's only 12." Like being fucking like I knew what that meant at that age. Like and on some level, I'm like, "Oh, I'm so like
Yep.
cute and old and like I'm being recognized as like you
Yep.
like when you're younger, you just want to be older." And like kind of feeling good about that.
I think
But
that's a really important thing to highlight is like when you're younger, you want that validation, but it's
yeah,
up to the adults to make the right decisions because you're still a child.
exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
it's
common.
so weird. Um And Sean had this one friend, Malcolm, and they like would go out a lot. They worked together. He had some other friends that would like come around sometimes too. And like they were all fine. And like I never felt anything weird. Like they were respectable to us. And one night I'm like lying in bed. I definitely had been asleep already and like woke up and I had like this really cute room. I had one of those like futon bunk beds that was just like so cool at the time. All my like boy band posters all over the wall. Like such a teen, like young
Yeah.
teen. And I woke up because my door opens and I see like a silhouette in the doorway and I hear Sean's voice saying like, "Are you awake?" And I am like queen of fake sleeping and like don't respond. And this is a very important detail. Like he always had like a weird mullet and at this point like I could tell he had cut his hair and I hadn't seen like him yet, but his hair was a lot shorter. But I know his voice. And he shuts the door and then he comes back in at one point. I don't know what time it is. And he sits on, like, I'm on the lower bunk and it's laid down. And he sits next to me and he's like, "Hey, are you awake?" And I'm just like, still ignoring him. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm fucking sleeping. And like, feel him slowly starting to like put his hands. I don't even know if I was probably just in underwear and a long t shirt. Like, I feel like that's what we mostly wore and feeling his hands like on my hip and then being like, okay, this is, I'm start like I probably was obviously kind of awake because, like, when you're in the situation, you're, like, not breathing or, like, trying not to breathe or trying not to, like, fucking make any sort of reaction, and then his hand, like, kinda slowly going underneath my underwear, and then slowly sliding and, like, touching my 12-year-old bush, and then I'm like, and I, like, roll over to, like, pretend
Like, what was that? Oh, I'm sleeping. Yeah.
I'm now gonna roll over, you can't, like, touch me, and then him being like, "Okay, sweetie," and then leaves, and then I'm like, "Wide the fuck awake." Like, what just happened? Like, he just totally put his hands in my pants, right? Like, did that happen? What? And I'm just, like, confused and not sure of what I just experienced and scared and, like, well, now I can't sleep. Like, what if he tries to come in here again? And it's interesting, like, the way this house was set up, like, I had my bedroom and this whole big bedroom, and then next door was another bedroom, and pretty much most of the wall was cut out between these 2 bedrooms, so they were, like, conjoining, but we put up, like, a sheet to kind of separate it and made it, like, seem like our own, and my sister's in the next room. So, like, it's not very private also in that way, like, it's just a sheet, and so, yeah, I definitely go to sleep at some point, and then I wake up and I'm just, like, stressed and like, I'm a very, like, talkative, friendly, silly, like, outgoing person, I always have been, and I go to school the next day, and I have every single class with Holly except for 1 class this year, like, we're in every single class together, which is cool, and by, like, 6th period, we have our English class, which took up 2 periods, and so we got a little bit of break between them. We're walking around together, and she's like, "Hey, are you
What's
okay?
wrong?
Like, all day you've been so quiet and stuff." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. Like, I don't really know." And I, like, can't say it. I don't know what's going on. She's like, "What's going on? Like, that you're not being like yourself." And thank God for Holly, because if it weren't for her, I don't know that I would have ever spoke up. And I think about that all the time, like, that she knew me so well by then, like, and to pull me aside and, we're so young for her to be so aware, like, that is kind of amazing, and she was like, "That's not okay," and to me too, like, I'm trying to rationalize it, like, I mean, he didn't, like, touch me though, did he? Like, I'm like, he only kind of put his hands in my pants, really trying to, like, make sense of what happened, and I'm fucking 12, like,
You also don't want it to be what it
and
is.
I don't yeah, I'm just like,
So if you
I
can
don't
make it better, like, that's what your brain's gonna try to do.
totally, totally, and she's like, "You have to tell your mom. You have to," and I just start crying, I'm like, "I don't how do I tell my mom this?" Like, she's not gonna believe me. She's not gonna believe me.
That's also really sad that
Like
that's what you thought.
how could you? This is kinda crazy. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. And so she's like, "Amber, you have to." And I don't know what it was, but I felt like if I didn't, I would be letting Holly down, like, 'cause I would go to school the next day and have to tell her that, like, I didn't tell my mom.
Do you think she would've told your mom?
Probably. I think she might have even told me that, like,
If you
honestly.
don't, I will.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
might have even told me that. And, yeah, so I go home, my mom is working on something, so she was also a music teacher, she would have, like, students come over and she'd, like, do voice lessons or piano lessons with them, like, she had a little side hustle, and Sean was at work, I think he worked at, like, a phone company or something, so luckily he wasn't home when I got home, it was just my mom, and I'm, like, trying to get the courage, and I'm like, "Okay, go to my room," and I'm just, like, spiraling so fucking hard, and I go into the kitchen and I'm, like, pacing, and my mom finally is like, "Amber, what is going on?" Like, and I'm like, "I just don't know how to say it." And so I don't even really have full memory of telling my mom. I just have memory of her, like, kind of face being, like, in total shock and, like, her, like, I thought she was gonna throw up, like,
Yeah.
um and just be like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure?" Like, and I'm like, "No, I'm sure." And then, like, some time passing, she probably called him maybe, I don't know. And then he was getting off work and she made me go with her in the car to pick him up to confront him,
I feel like that's such a strange
which
decision.
I was leaving. I didn't I'm just like picking myself. I'm so fucking
It's okay.
um
Grab your crystal.
thank you. Um yeah, I would not make that decision for sure. And I don't also think there's necessarily a right way to do this also. Like, I don't know, when you're in this, like, moment of shock and, like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Like, what do you do? What is
Yeah.
the right thing? I don't think anyone actually knows. Like, we can all in hindsight, of course,
Right.
say what should have been done, but I don't think that she
Yeah.
knew what to do.
Agree with you.
And so I'm sitting in the back seat, he's sitting in the front seat, my mom's in the driver's seat, we're sitting outside his work, and I have to confront him of what he did to me. And it was, like, one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, and him immediately calling me crazy and saying, "No fucking way, I didn't do that," and
Was he
denying it.
drunk too?
He was
Could you?
definitely drunk the night
Yeah.
before, he had been out, for sure, and him just, like, denying it, and then my mom, I don't know if it was at this point or had before or whatever, but, like, Malcolm had spent the night, his friend that he was out with. Malcolm had spent the night on the couch. Maybe it was Malcolm. Do you think it could have been Malcolm? I was like, "No, it was definitely Sean." Like, and she's like, "Well, you didn't know that he, like, had his hair cut yet." You know, Malcolm had a short haircut, and I knew that it was a short haircut. And I was like, "But it was his voice. He was talking to me, like, on my bed. I know it was him." Like, there's not even the slightest doubt in my mind that it was anyone else. I know that it was him. I know it. And he's like, "No fucking way. She's fucking lying. Like, I can't even look at you. You're fucking disgusting." Like, immediately, like, being so terrible to me. And I am, like, digging and thinking, like, could this have been anything else? Like, really trying
Baby's first gaslight.
totally, totally. Like, and really, like, trying to think, like, I'm sitting in this car now with someone who tried to abuse me last night. Even me saying it right now, did abuse me last night. And my mom not wanting to believe because this is her husband and this is her child. And oh no, like, whatever other fucking thoughts or reasonings going through her head. And so we drive home and it's like I'm in trouble now because I spoke up. Like, I'm in trouble because like, I was not okay all day. Like, I was not okay telling my mom, like, you don't feel that way because nothing happened. You know, like, something happened for me to, like,
What would
be in
also
this
possess
mindset.
you to just like lie about
And
that?
I'm not a liar. Like, we've talked to my sister on here, we used to talk about how she was a pathological liar as a kid. If I had a headache, she had a headache. Same thing with this. I got molested, she got molested. Like,
But she did.
but she probably did. She probably did. Like, you know, I believe her because this happened to me, and I'm sure he went from my room to her room. Who knows if he did anything to my brother?
Yeah.
My brother is so damaged from him in so many ways that I don't even think he knows because he was so much younger. He's 7 years younger than me. So, he was 5, like, when this
Yeah.
happened to me. Like, I don't think and he was a bedwetter for a really long time. Like,
That's a bad
I
sign.
don't think he even knows what happened to him. And I was 17 when he left, so he was 10, which is how old I was when they met. So it's like your brain is still developing and trying to understand things. Like, I don't even think he knows what happened to him. And he was very abusive to him in a lot of ways, for
Yeah.
sure. So, anyways, we spiral and talk all fucking night in circles about this. Are you sure it isn't Malcolm? Are you sure it isn't Malcolm? All night this happens. And I get to this point where
You finally just give up.
I give up and I resolve that has to be a possibility, I guess. Like, my truth is not being heard, and it's trying to be rationalized this whole time.
You're 12?
I'm 12. So, I finally am just like, I'm done telling my story,
Mhm.
and Sean now wants nothing to do with me. won't look at me, won't I'm never gonna hug you again. I'm never gonna don't you expect anything from
Great.
me? All of this stuff. Like I am awful because of what I just accused him of. And so I go to school the next day and I tell Holly, and I don't really remember much like after that. Like it was at least a whole week of hell, of being completely ignored at home by him, not being believed, brushed under the rug. We don't talk about it anymore. Malcolm's no longer able to come over.
Well,
They
fuck Malcolm, who cares?
immediately like blame him, and he's no longer allowed to be at the house.
Maybe Malcolm got, like, lucky that he didn't have to be friends
Yeah.
with Sean.
Totally did.
Yeah. Poor Malcolm.
I know. Like I hope he ended up having a good life cuz he didn't deserve that. But
He probably didn't even know what happened.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, who
Who
knows?
knows?
Who knows? So yeah, so that was my first like real big trauma that like no matter what I've worked on this so fucking much, and it is like the biggest onion in my trauma bucket that like it even still like there's little things that just trigger it out of nowhere, like things that he used to do, like even just the other day. I don't know why boys are boys, but like the fucking Polly Shore, like
Yeah,
gross
gross.
thing. Like
Yeah.
Mark was doing that the other day, and I was like, you really need to stop. Like, I'm sorry. I know this isn't you, but like Sean used to do that all the time. And it's immediately like anything that comes up about him, like my whole body remembers everything. And I'm like, I know it's not you. And like I wish it was so easy to be like, you can make that sound if you want to, boy. Or touching my belly button. Cause Sean used to like put his finger on my belly button because it bothered me, or putting your finger between my big toe and my second toe because that would bother me. He loved to just bother me. And so, like, any of these weird little things that shouldn't be anything fucking will spiral me out sometimes where I'm just like full panic attack. No matter how much I've worked on this in therapy and body code and all sorts of other things, like, it is a deep wound for me. And, you know, I'm even reluctant to say this, but I'm going to. Like, I know that it could have been so much worse. And I've gotten to the point in my healing with it that I know that, like, it still is a capital T trauma for me.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make it any less because it didn't turn out worse for me than I know that it does for people.
But also, if you wouldn't have said something, it probably would have kept going on.
For sure. Well, so because my mom settled on this didn't happen, he didn't do it, they remained married until I was a junior in high school. So 7th grade to junior year, that's another however many years, 4? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, there was nothing like this, but there were things, and I was, like, immensely punished for the rest of their marriage too. Like, things were very different for me, and I couldn't wear like a spaghetti strap because you could see my bra. Like he had so much control over everything that I did. I wasn't allowed to date boys because he was probably fucking jealous. He was fucking so rude to like my nicest boyfriend I ever had my freshman year. Would not even look at him or talk to him. Like what a fucking baby. Why? What did he ever do? What gives you authority? It's not like you're my fucking dad, you know? So anyways, end of 8th grade, we end up moving back to Colorado. Sean joins the military. God, my life story is so long. Sorry.
It's fine.
I've moved around so much. But we end up in Colorado Springs on the Army base there. I start freshman year of high school, not knowing anybody. I spent my whole summer there. So, like, we move at the end of my 8th grade year. All my closest best friends, I was like, I don't fucking want to move. These are my people. These are my safe people. I'm sick of moving. I've moved my whole life. We move out there. I spend the whole summer babysitting for TJ, my brother's dad, and his new wife and their 3 girls, making what I thought was baller money, $50 a week at the time. And I had to save every penny of that because then come freshman year, I was going to have to buy all my own school clothes and school supplies. So Sean kept my money and a savings, so he said. And by end of summer when I was shopping, I had all of $125 to spend. Yep.
That math doesn't
Doesn't math. Doesn't math. But that's money I had from babysitting for 3 months of the summer every single week. I'm like, where did all that money go? I had so much money that I never had. It was never my money. It's fucking crazy.
God, what a
He's
fucking
a fucking
asshole.
asshole. Military. He was in the military before we met him too, and was discharged, and I don't know what for and how they brought him back on. I don't know how that works, but um, so now we're a military family and spent most of my freshman year in Colorado. We were there like 9 months before we got stationed to Germany. And so this is when we moved to Germany, and I was like, "Oh my god, like I need to stop moving around. Like I am 14 years old. I'm in high school. I just made friends again, and now I have to move to another country." Like I fucking did not want to move to Germany. I was so over it. And the way, because I was like, I'll go move with my dad. Like I don't know my dad very well, but I'll go live with my dad so that I
What
could
year
stay
was
put.
this?
This was 2001, like April-ish of 2001. And so he's like, well, we'll be in Germany, which means we'll be close to like France and Italy and all these cool places that you can go travel to. And I'm like, I'll
I don't
go.
care.
I'll go if you promise that I can go to the Eiffel Tower. And so he
Did
did.
you ever go to the Eiffel?
Never went to the Eiffel Tower. Never been to France. Never left Germany while we were out there. And so we get out to Germany. I finished my freshman year there. Having to be the new kid in high school is so much harder than when you're a little kid. And especially like on an army base, like I had moved around a lot. I had that experience, but never like army. So I didn't really make any friends at the end of the year. So I spent another summer alone before sophomore year. And I had like we lived on a military base, and being in Germany, there was one high school that like all these surrounding towns went to. And so my bus ride to school was 45-minute bus ride from my army base. So I had my army friends on army kid friends on our base, but I also had friends that were like I would never see or couldn't go spend the night with, or like I didn't have a regular high school upbringing because of living out here. There wasn't like the big party house and all these things. I didn't really get that till like my senior year. And so then I joined like sports. I was doing cheerleading, which I always loved cheerleading. I did that like in 6th, 7th grade. So I like joined cheerleading again there, and made a lot of friends. And then my first boyfriend, like going into sophomore year, was my neighbor. And he was like not cute.
No.
He was like little player boy, which I didn't know because I didn't know him. And he would always like flirt with me through my window and like play right there. And I didn't even think he was cute. Like I like could smell his shit, but for some reason he was paying attention to me
Yeah.
that I was like, and I just was boy crazy.
Okay, I think we're going to stop here for part 1. Obviously, we love to tell our stories thoroughly. I think to do this story of Amber's justice, we should do a part 1 and a part 2. So make sure you come back next week to hear the rest of the journey that made my beautiful best friend who she is today. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Cut. We're going to go to part 1.
Part 2.
Part 2 intro. Okay. This episode has been produced by my husband, Curtis Burgess.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Waking Up the Witch.
And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at wakingupthewitch@gmail.com.
And don't forget to head over to the link in our bio on Instagram for all the ways to connect with both Amber and Taylor. And go to moonbeeswellness.com for all your self-care and witchy news.
We love you. Bye.
Bye. Ow. Ow.